What is going on, everybody? Critic and the Common Man back with yet another episode short review of Wandavision.
That's my
Up today, episode 8. We were a little late on episode 7, but we're back at it with a quick turnaround on episode 8. If you've not seen Wandavision episode 8, go ahead and click off of this, go watch it, and then come back. This will include spoilers, so full spoiler warning. You have been warned. Chris, the penultimate episode, I love using that word. It's become one of my favorites. Nothing makes me sound smarter than that word. The penultimate episode,
nothing, yeah.
Literally nothing. I'm fairly certain there's going to be one more episode of this show, and then that's it. That's my understanding. Maybe we're going to bump it up to 10, but I've been told we're getting 9. So maybe my sources.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's 9. I think the next episode's the finale.
Break some kneecaps. All right, perfect. So the penultimate episode, here we are.
Whoa.
Throwing it at us again, Mr. Smart Boy over there. I gotta say, man, ringing our own bell a little bit. I feel like we kind of called what was going to happen in this episode a little bit in our last review. Just throwing that out there. We totally said, we're like, yeah, I feel like there was some trauma with her when she was a kid, and she used to watch sitcoms to get away from it, and that's how that's why she's falling back. This is like her safe space.
I just feel like it's such a cop-out. But
it happened. Oh, you don't like it?
I don't.
You don't like it? All right, spit. Go ahead.
I just feel like, and I brought this up last time. I said I just feel like there could be something more.
Ooh.
Some other reason for, like, I don't know, the sitcom aspect and the fact that it's like the thing that they used to watch. Like, it just doesn't connect to me. Like, of all the things that you have available to you, like the shows that you watched as a child was Leave It to Beaver, and like, I don't know, it feels like they're trying too hard to make that a reason for the sitcom aspect and not the other way around. I'm sure that they had it pre-planned. It probably is something in the comics. I don't know. I'm just saying, from my point of view as a viewer, it just feels weak. It doesn't feel strong enough for her to just have a lapse and just completely start dominating people. Like, I don't know. And I know that it's not her fault, obviously, as we found out during this. But
shots fired, Marvel.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just not the best storytelling, in my opinion.
It was just kind of predictable to me. I mean, and that's, I'm okay with it, I guess. I mean, I think maybe I've just kind of rolled over to this show at this point. I've kind of forfeited to the fact that this is kind of where this show is, and that's just, I'm not saying it's okay, but it's just, it is what it is at this point. I will say, though, this was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Same.
Again, I know that you weren't saying anything about the episode. You were just kind of saying that the plot that they've kind of set up for this is a little bit weak. Yeah, I mean, we called it, dude, and we're just the layman watching this movie. I mean, we weren't comic book readers or anything, and we called that that's what was going to happen. You know, oh, she was having some trauma in Sokovia, and they watched sitcoms as an escape from it, and sure enough, look at that. That's exactly what happened.
Now, like, with that said, I did really enjoy this episode. The acting is great.
Yeah.
I kind of liked going through her life, just getting, because we know nothing about this character as far as, like, from the movies. Right. You know, just as a viewer, we don't know anything about this character, and so to kind of get behind, like, see her history in the same way that we've seen Tony Stark's and that kind of stuff, to see where she came from. And then my mouth dropped when the kids were watching the TV and then the bomb went off.
That was violent.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that was
violent.
That was very well done. Like, they literally pulled on our emotional connection in that moment, because we're drawn into the fun that they're having, and, you know, the family, and then out of nowhere, just bomb goes off. Very
just
unexpected.
Throwing this out there, because I had this same problem when I was watching Iron Man. I don't think that the Stark logo would be all over those bombs. Like, who are they marketing to with those bombs? Like, dude, they're, like, all fancy, and they've got, like, the Stark print all over, like, the logo all over those bombs. Like, bro, the military knows what they're buying. Like, just in case one doesn't go off, the people who you're blowing up can be like, these are effective. We'll have to buy these the next time we're in this war. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, like, Lockheed Martin has their branding all over their missiles. They probably do. Who knows? But it's like, every time, this is, like, the second time now where, yeah, like, the bomb malfunction or lands, and it's like the big Stark logo is right there. It's like, oh, just letting everybody know who's blowing them up.
Yeah.
Like, that's real nice.
And that's what I'm talking about. That kind of stuff just feels like weak plot devices in order to get their point across. It just doesn't feel like good storytelling, and that's the same thing that I had with Mandalorian. It's there's just they're using kind of tropey, kind of story driven devices. They're using these devices to kind of push their plot forward rather than have the plot push the plot forward. It's just like, we need to get from here to here. So what can we put in this episode that will get us from here to here?
What can we fill with?
Rather than making it organic.
You know what my problem is with this too, and maybe this is just me being an insensitive, toxic masculine guy.
You're disgusting.
But bro, how many people lost the love of their life in this tragedy that happened? Millions of people lost somebody important to them, just as important to them as Vision is to Wanda. And Wanda's response is to like mind melt all these people and manipulate this world and create this place where she's got people held hostage, and she's like freaking out over Vision.
Also,
meanwhile, all these other people who had somebody that they loved their whole life and it's gone, like, they can't do anything about it, and they're coping and like moving on, and yet Wanda is like destroying this whole city because she's upset that she lost somebody. It's like, just seems like a little bit of an overreaction.
I mean, it's not 100% her fault, but it is a lack of emotional control on her part. And part of that might be Agatha's fault. She might be feeding into that, and we don't know.
True. That's a good point. She may be kind of hyping her.
Yeah, like she pulled the pin out of the grenade, and Wanda just lost control. Like, we don't know, at least not yet. But then just to kind of, again, the people that have been leaving comments and stuff saying that like, well, we don't understand the comics. I'm just saying, in the comics, she's the daughter of Magneto, and she's not in this, so you can't really use the comics as a defense now. I'm just saying, like, that was not Magneto who she was living with. I'm just saying.
Definitely not Magneto.
So I'm just throwing that out there. Like, we are seeing a show that has been created for television, for show purposes. Not
the gatekeepers will not be happy with you, Chris.
And that's fine. That's completely fine.
Not be happy with you.
I get it. And it all comes from a love for the Marvel comics, but these are not the comics. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
But now, the episode itself, I actually really did enjoy it. I enjoyed watching her go through her life, and I really liked Agatha as a character. She was interesting because she's not necessarily evil throughout the show. I mean, she's kind of preying on her weakness at the moment, which is a little creepy, but she's guiding her through the process of, delving into her past.
Just throwing this out there, don't like the actress that they have playing Agatha.
Really?
And I'm honestly, I'm not trying to just rip. I love the actress who plays Wanda, and I love the dude who plays Vision. And I've actually really liked all the characters in this show up until this point. I will say the acting is one thing that I do not have a qualm with in this show. But the only person that I don't like thus far, acting-wise, dude, I don't like the lady they have playing Agatha.
Do you know who she is, though? Do you know what else she's played?
No.
She played Doc Ock in the Spider-Verse movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's the voice of Dr. Octavius in that. Olivia Octavius or whatever it is. Yeah, and she's awesome in that. She's a great voice actor, no problem. And I'm not saying she's a bad actress.
Do you think it's just like visually she just doesn't give you the look of a villain?
I'm not buying her as being... I don't know. I made a mistake, dude, of going on Reddit and looking at some stuff about the history of Agatha Harkness. And I think it kind of just put me in a worse position than I was before. I should have just left it. I got into some weird comic lore that kind of got a little bit diluted, and now it's just, I don't know how to feel.
You're basically an expert.
I'm not buying her as being, I'm not intimidated by her, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even when she's like up hanging and clearly has like the yarn strings that have been CGI'd around the boys' necks, like I'm just not really that intimidated by her, man. I don't know. Interesting history though. I like the throwback to Salem.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
Felt a little, again, tropey, because there's so many other cities on the East Coast that went through the same shit, but like we have to pick Salem because that's the witch town.
Salem.
I don't know.
She's the witch girl from Witch Town.
It's like it might as well have been fucking Sleepy Hollow at that point. Like I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
It's just tropey.
The way they went through the different worlds in this episode to me was really creative. I liked how they were jumping through things. Also, when she is like being reached out to by the Soul... is it the Soul Stone?
No, the Mind Stone.
Which one does she have? Mind Stone. When she's being reached out to by the Mind Stone, was that Loki that she saw in there?
No, I believe that's the Scarlet Witch.
Oh.
because if you look
wait a
back, you can kind of see the shape of the helmet of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I thought they were like Loki's horns or something.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if this is part of the comics or not, but that also feels kind of like a cop out where they're, like, to explain everything, it was the Mind Stone all along, and now because she touched the Mind Stone, she can make vision. It just feels like they were trying to tie up loose ends on their own part just to kind of create the narrative. I don't really buy that either.
See, I do buy that a little more. I buy that more than Captain Marvel shooting the engine of a plane and all of a sudden being the strongest person ever. At least these stones, it's like they have power. They can't be wielded by a mere mortal. The stone chose her for some reason because she had the right psychology or mentality, or she was so hurt or whatever it was.
It's like okay, like in Lord of the Rings, right? You set up the ring to be this all-powerful thing. And in the movies, they removed certain characters like Tom Bombadil because, and Faramir in the books doesn't care about the ring. In the movies, they made him kind of like, no, I need this ring to show my dad I'm worthy. They changed that because the ring throughout the books, was intended to be this ominous, powerful being. And in the books, there are several characters that come along where they say, no, we don't want it. You strip the power of the ring in those moments. You make it seem like, oh, it's not all that bad. It's only certain people. So they changed it in the movies to make it like, no, this ring corrupts everyone. Doesn't matter who it is. So they took out the characters and they changed the moments for the characters that were able to say, no, I don't want it. And that makes sense to me. In this, you spent entire films talking about how dangerous these things are and how nobody can handle them. The only reason the Guardians did it is because they collectively did it, literally tearing them apart as they did it. And then Wanda, who is a human, comes along and just opens it up, and she's, I don't know, it to me, it strips the power of the Infinity Stones and makes Thanos itself, and just everything that happened in the Endgame and the Infinity War just feels weak now.
Damn, that's pretty intense. See, but I don't know if it's like she was handling the Infinity Stone per se, or something somebody or some entity or something was like controlling the Infinity Stone and reached out to her. I don't know.
And it could be that, and it kind of feels like it could be that. It just, I don't know. It's not enough to pull me out of it where like I just can't get behind it. I'm gonna continue watching the show. I'm very excited to see what's next because
I've become interested at this point. Don't get me wrong. I am now very interested to see how this season ends.
Notice,
they got me
no
there.
sitcom. No sitcom aspect,
dude,
and both of us are like, man, this was a good episode.
Right, and also notice, dude, we're 8 episodes in.
That's my next
kid you
comment.
not, and I kid you not, man. I mean, we were, and you can go back and watch our reviews. Dude, we were 6 episodes into this show before I even really cared about it, to be honest. It's like, and now here we are 8 episodes in, and now I'm finally like, yeah, I'm ready for this Friday. I want to watch the next episode.
This
but dude,
should have been episode 6.
It's the whole season. You think this should have been episode 6?
I think that finding out Agatha was the person, it was Agatha all along. I think that should have been the middle. That should have been the midpoint. That's the point where things have now shifted for us. And the last 4 or 5 episodes or whatever would have kind of gone from there. But this feels like they drew it out for too long. And now, 1 episode later, now we get the payoff. It just doesn't feel right. It feels... it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was going to say, this is another episode that really makes me feel like we're getting another season of the show.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And some people still don't think we will. For a long time, I thought we were only going to get 1 season of this. I think it's going to take long enough to develop these other Marvel movies that are coming out in this Phase 4. I think we're still going to get a second season of this show.
There's no way that Vision or Wanda or whoever wants to come along, Photon. There's no way that anything that they do is going to resolve everything in 24 minutes in the next episode.
Well, we just got another potential villain in this other Vision, this like second Vision that's created at the end.
That dude, I completely forgot about that. Holy shit, yeah.
Was that a post-credit scene? What was that?
I don't think so.
Where they like bring Vision back to life.
I think it was, actually.
On the outside. So yeah, hopefully you guys saw that. Sorry, we gave a spoiler warning, but I guess we didn't give like a post-credit scene.
It makes you wonder.
Warning. You should have.
What is that thing?
Well, it's like Vision's body.
Like,
remember, because Wanda didn't act. Oh, that's another thing. So the main army guy, the main military guy. Do you remember earlier in the season he showed a video of Wanda breaking in and stealing Vision's body?
We talked about that too. I was like, what?
Yeah, that didn't happen. Remember?
Yeah.
Because in this episode, that's not what she did. So he like edited that to make her look like the bad guy.
Deepfake.
But really, he had Vision's body, which he put back together and
Yeah.
powered up, I guess, from this like hex power
Also,
that she's got.
Two things. One, seeing Vision splayed out like that was kind of disturbing.
Dude, what? How did they? Why was that so weird?
Yeah, that was because I think we've seen him alive and we've seen his character and stuff. So just to see, it'd be like seeing somebody you
Didn't
care
feel
about
right.
just kind of thrown on an autopsy table and then cut up. It's just,
Yeah,
it just
it
felt
didn't feel right. It was
Yeah,
weird.
it was really disturbing. But secondly, like it makes me wonder if this thing that they brought back, it's not brought back by the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone's gone. Like, is this Ultron? Is this an aspect of Ultron? Like
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
it's just, it makes you wonder.
Long time.
And then I guess third thing, the computer or the satellite or whatever that was kind of zoned in on Westview, Eastview,
Westview, I believe.
Eastview is the other one, was tracking the vibranium. So if Vision wasn't real, he wouldn't be made of vibranium. So it's like Wanda actually brought him back, and he is slowly... Again, this is just solidifying my idea that Vision is actually back, and that the moment she drops the hex, he's going to disappear. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Vision
It's so
is
funny,
back.
man, because... Yeah, it's so funny to me, dude, in this conversation, because we're finally into this. Like, it took 8 episodes for us to now... Like, we're both, I think, at this point, like, excited for the next episode.
I totally
This is
am.
the first episode that... Yeah, this was the first episode for me that ended, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to see the next one. But, dude, we're at the end of the season.
And
I'm not
Mandalorian
saying-
did the same shit.
See, but it didn't to me. It didn't to me. I was into the Mandalorian from as soon as we saw Baby Yoda, I was like, I'm into this. And wasn't that like pretty early on? Wasn't that like episode 1 or 2
I think so,
when we
yeah.
saw Baby Yoda? Like, dude, as soon as we saw him, I was like, I'm in. I don't care what else
That was
happens.
the end of
This is
episode
dope.
1, yeah.
I think it was. But dude, like, I'm not saying that the season finale can't be good. I'm not saying that next season of this show can't be good. All I'm saying is personally, and we'll talk about this more at the like wrap up of this whole show when we review the first season in total. All I'm saying is it's taken them a long time to get to a point where this show is like actually pretty interesting.
In their defense, they spent 20 years building a story that led to Endgame and Infinity War. So I feel like they feel the need to kind of draw out the story to explain everything, but as a television series, it just feels to me like they drew it out too much. 2 episodes needed to have been taken out.
Well, and at least, man, I'm honestly on the page of like 4 episodes needed to be taken out, but we'll talk about that. But the other question I have is how many movies did it take to develop Thor? He got what, 3 movies now after Ragnarok?
One
When
good
there
one.
3 Thor movies? Yeah,
2 good
one good
ones. I
one,
like the
maybe 2
original,
good
too.
ones if you
I
like
like
the
the
first one.
original
Yeah, the second one we don't talk about that. We just pretend that didn't exist. Iron Man got like 6, but again, like 2 good ones. Wanda and Vision now have had more screen time than almost any of these characters have had in individual movies. And they've had that much time to develop these specific characters. They're not developing a whole Avengers conglomerate here in this show. They're just developing Wanda and Vision. And for them to take 8 episodes just to give us her backstory, I think is a little bit of a mistake.
That's my point exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they've taken a long time to get to where we are now, and I don't feel like we're that much further ahead now than we were when we started
I'm
the
telling
season.
you, man, we're going to need to watch some of the good TV shows out there and review those. Like, I sincerely think that it would just the first episode of Game of Thrones, dude. I think you should just watch the first episode.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, that's a slippery slope. Next thing you know, I'm 24 hours deep in Game of Thrones, man.
I mean, even if it's just the first episode and you just like, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
But the pacing of that show and the information that is given, mind you, it's different type of television. And it's longer and it's made for a different, channel and stuff, but it's still television, it's still a series. You can pace it accordingly. And this show, the pacing is just not there, in my opinion. It's just not there. It feels like cable television show and not Marvel multi-billion-dollar blockbuster franchise show, and it just it
doesn't feel like the most expensive show ever produced.
Exactly.
Mind you, because that is a fact. At a budget of $225 million, this is the most expensive season of a TV show ever produced.
It's
now,
cute,
again,
but that's not enough.
The Lord of the Rings show is on its way to beat that, but the Lord of the Rings show has not been officially produced yet, so we'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. I know we have a lot of negative to say, but I will say, as far as episode to episode goes, this was an interesting episode. It was very different. It was interesting to see Wanda's backstory because we've been craving that throughout this whole season.
Yep.
We now have 2 villains. We have this Vision, and now we have Agatha as well. Very excited to see where we go from
We're
here.
assuming he's a villain.
Very excited to see. We're assuming he's a villain.
I mean, he kind of
I
gives
think
off
that's a
the
pretty
villain
safe
vibes,
assumption,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption, but you're right. That is an assumption. We'll see. We'll see. Chris, you got anything else for episode 8 of WandaVision?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Then that's it.
I'm
indeed.
Jarvis.
All right, guys. WandaVision episode 8. I feel like I need to go back and watch Age of Ultron, man. There's so much going on that I just had forgotten. But let us know what you guys think down below. If you're watching this one on YouTube, leave a comment. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Fair is fair. If you're just listening, feel free to jump over to the YouTube or the Instagram, get involved in some conversation about this one, and tell us your opinions. Are we going to get a pretty mind-blowing season finale, or are we just going to get a big cliffhanger leading us to season 2?
I'm telling you, it's Ahsoka.
Dude, that'd be insane if she comes through the multiverse portal and all of a sudden they're just fighting. All right, guys, that's it. WandaVision episode 8. We appreciate the watch. We'll be back next week for WandaVision episode 9, the season finale. Other than that, Chris, we are out of here. See you guys.